B-Team, LIV Golf just inked a broadcast and streaming rights with the CW. What do you think?
CW Network. It's hard for me to get interested. Why do I say that? I don't know what it does for LIV Golf. There are some things we'll cover. There's some obvious points, but in the scheme of things, is this a revenue deal that moves the needle for LIV Golf? No, I don't.
No, I agree.
I don't think that's at all what's going on here from a revenue point of view. So as you say, LIV has cut a deal with CW Network here in the United States to distribute the product. But here are the quick points that I think we want to make. It's not about revenue. I don't see any way that this advertising sharing arrangement that this is about with CW adds up to any kind of interesting numbers for LIV. A few million here, 20 million there. It's just not, just doesn't add up. I can't do that math. So it's not about revenue. It is about hurting the PGA Tour, because now I can steal audience that would be watching you, can now just change channels in America and watch my product against your, minor league tournaments. The Rocket Mortgage we always pick on, the Minnesota thing. They can do that. And then that's 2 points. So not about revenue. Hurts the PGA Tour, so I can weaken them. Why do I want to weaken them? That's a different conversation. How much? I don't want to kill them, I don't think. And then you wanted to say what?
Well, I would say it's about recruiting.
Recruiting, and I agree with that.
It's the young. It's going to be a battle for the college kid, because as we've discussed in the past, you have to play golf in America to go to one of the two tours.
I think we can quickly agree, audience would quickly agree, the future of the PGA Tour and LIV are both completely 100% tied to getting the best players.
Correct.
That's it. If you have the best players or the majority of the best players or an equal number of best players, then you're both going to survive. If that gets out of whack, all bets are off. And because nobody's going to tune in to watch minor league anything, not minor league soccer, not minor league water polo. Nobody's going to watch the less than the best.
And the LIV model is going to be more pervasive on the PGA Tour, because if you're going to be a player, you got to have an entourage of 7-8 people to pay. Hotels are expensive, planes are expensive. Sure. You can no longer just get in your station wagon and drive from event to event and expect to be competitive.
Sure, absolutely. Quick housekeeping note, the show is now up and running on Venmo. So if you're in the United States and using Venmo, it's a nice service. We use it all the time. We are there. So you can connect with us on Venmo at Thinking Man Show, at Thinking Man Show on Venmo. We'd love to connect with you there. So it's a fascinating deal, and obviously we'll try to get into some of the nuances moving along here. But what's not in the deal? What's not in this press release is, I think, way more interesting than what was in the press release, because I don't think there's much interesting in the press release, except for recruiting. Recruiting is an interesting angle, but other than that, and that is an important detail in my view. I think you want to make it extremely easy for global fans to stream LIV on any device they want to. Most importantly, a smart TV, because it's golf. It's a small ball. And that is unclear as to how easy or not easy that will be. But the first tournament's in 4 weeks or so. We'll find out.
No, it has nothing to do with revenue. It's the next logical step if LIV is going to be true competition, a second golf league, a second legitimate professional golf league where the best players are going to get to play. Mm-hmm. It's the next logical step. Beyond that, I think revenue-wise, it's purely a test. They're going to get a few. You're going to be able to. You're going to have the older viewers are going to be able to click on their TV on Saturday afternoon and potentially now decide: am I going to watch the Rocket Mortgage or am I going to watch the LIV event? It's a simplification for that core golf fan who's older. However, beyond that, there's some nuances we should talk about, but no, it's not about revenue.
I fully agree with that. I mean, I like to pretend that I'm the head of LIV Golf, or that's not true, Greg. Don't get me wrong. Don't suspend that job offer just because I said that. If I were your henchman behind the scenes, what our goal is exposure, among other things. Of course, we want media exposure. We want that for our players and our product. That's critical. Okay. Now, how do you get compensated for such exposure? Well, advertising's been the traditional, since TV was born in the 50s in America, that's how you got money. Well, that model is crashing quickly. Everything is falling apart in that model because of the internet and this streaming thing. So, who really cares? If LIV's plan is to be around for the next 50 or 100 years, and I'm sure it is, at least that's the plan. You don't start something to end it, usually. You might start something to get it acquired as quickly as possible. Sure, a lot of people do that, but I don't see that as their goal either. So even if this were a toy for the Saudi royal family, which I don't think it is, but if that were the case, still they want to have it around for a while. So what does this do for LIV? I think it's a player thing. It's a recruiting thing. Maximum exposure. You're recruiting an amateur out of college that you don't want him to go to the PGA Tour. You want him to come here. Yeah, we got TV stations. Your grandma can watch you. There's lots of ways to watch. This is a streaming and broadcast deal. So YouTube is dead for LIV. And I don't know if you can stream it on the LIV website. Don't know that. Probably not. They had to give CW something. But there's a couple of points. This is news, so apologies for kind of zipping around. It only came out yesterday. Today's Friday, the 20th of January. I do think there is one very interesting element to this, to my way of thinking, and that is, since it's not revenue generative for LIV in any meaningful way, and we can get into the numbers a little bit as to why I say that, but it is certainly a weapon against your chief rival.
Yeah.
So since the chief rival PGA Tour is on broadcast TV and people tune in somewhat to those 50 events, not the majors, I have now another channel that's up against your channel on the same cable provider platform that your viewers can click over to my product easily, right? Click, 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 click. Easy to do. And if I take 20% of your audience, that's a big number. Yeah. I don't need to take 50, 10, 20% of your audience. Does that help me? Not that much. But what it does do, it hurts you. If you're the PGA Tour, I've hurt you. And I want to go on hurting you, right?
Let me just interject. It's not so much even hurting when you're talking about network broadcast. It would be great. I think one of the things that LIV has done is it's brought network television into the 21st century here. I mean, the PGA Tour coverage, as we have seen, as we have had multiple comments, it's terrible. They didn't show any golf. Now, LIV is almost too much, which is boom, 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 every 10 seconds a shot, versus the PGA Tour where you get a shot every 2 minutes. And those Thursday and Friday broadcasts are comical. It's 60% commercials.
The advertising saturation is, they're cutting the commercials every 5 minutes.
Yeah. So so
on
I think
the PGA Tour.
Right, on the PGA Tour. But what we're alluding to, of course, the real future of LIV and its survival versus the PGA Tour is it's going to be the war for the players coming out of college. Because if you're going to play professional golf, you have to go to college in the United States. We established that on another show.
Currently, yes.
Currently, right. And the PGA Tour, let's be honest, they've done 180s when it comes to money, when it comes to getting players on the tour. They have a special way in which you're a college kid. It's still more difficult than just signing a contract with LIV, but there are more avenues for college players to get directly onto the PGA Tour because that's the future. If LIV signs all the young talent, now you've got your core audience who has a network, and the young kids, whoever follows the young kids, they're going to have that streaming, and it is a free streaming app. And I'd be curious exactly, is it going to work like YouTube where, hey, if it's, if Sunday afternoon, if I was doing whatever I do, for example, playing golf, Monday night after work, can I go to the CW, watch the event? LIV still does not have significant, coverage as far as news, So I may, on a Monday night, not even know who won the tournament. Now, that was the best thing about YouTube, as far as I'm concerned. You could watch those things on a Monday night, things like that. So if it works as well as YouTube, if the app works as well as YouTube, and you have a major network, now you've got something. Now you're legitimate competition. And I think, as I said, this was the next logical step for LIV. They needed a major network if they were going to be true competition.
Okay. Yeah, those are all good points. For me and for you and for I think the group of viewers globally that LIV is after, I'm not sure how this deal helps them at all. Zero. What's it do for you? Let's just use you as a guinea pig. What does this deal do for you, if anything? You would still. Let me rephrase. If YouTube still existed, or if the CW streaming is just as easy, and it's there all the time, as you just say, so you don't have to DVR this thing, you don't have to record it.
Yeah.
You can just go to the CW app and cast it to your TV, let's say, because we don't think there's a CW app right now for smart TVs. So you have to go to the web and do that anyway.
Yeah.
What does it do for you? It doesn't do anything for you.
Not right now, no.
No.
But as I said, I was somebody who was following it.
Well, but you didn't wake up this morning and went, hooray, there's a deal I can watch on CW.
But how many people, let's be honest, nobody that I know thinks about, I can't wait Sunday afternoon to watch, the Honda. The only reason you're watching the Honda, for example, is you live inside the Arctic Circle and you can't go outside and you're literally, and you're flipping channels. So my point to that is, if it's my dad, for example, he's going to flip. He's going to see Dustin Johnson. He's going to see DeChambeau. He's going to see Koepka. He's going to see Mick. He's going to see all the guys he knows every time the CW broadcasts an event. Whereas at the Honda, he's going to go, who are these guys?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
So I think it doesn't do anything for me, because if I'm going to watch an event, I typically do DVR it or follow it later. It's my convenience.
Well, and you are demonstrating. You are an example of a modern viewer. Well, Max, the producer, is not going to care about CW at all.
But my point is, the people who are
Max, the producer, is a young guy.
Yeah. My point is, the older people who still watch broadcast television, those 5 people still in the United States that still watch broadcast television, I think that LIV is going to get more of a market share than people think, than they're projecting, for the simple reason they're going to recognize the guys on the LIV Tour. The coverage has been better as far as the broadcast.
I'll spot you that. Let's say this works.
Yeah. And once again, LIV doesn't care about the revenue right now. They are purely trying to build their brand for competition.
I think they care about revenue. They have to. But where is it coming from? Well, I'm not criticizing your statement. I just, we're thinking about revenue here. If I were chief revenue officer of LIV, be a fun job. I've said that before. This doesn't move the needle, which a phrase I've used many times in many meetings. Does it move the needle? What moves? We could pivot to that. What moves the needle for LIV revenue-wise? It's not 10 million. It's certainly 500 a year. So it's somewhere between 10 and 500. All right, how about 100 million a year? Well, their tournament payouts are a couple hundred, 250 in prize money. So if we could cover that with a high margin revenue stream, let's say 400 million a year would be pretty darn interesting total. Maybe 500 would be really successful. So this gave me...
I don't think their tournaments are that high if you do the math quickly. I think
25 million times
25.
14?
Total. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, times 14. Excellent. Good.
So if 500 million's like, hey, we're killing it, 5 years from now, in total revenue, not margin, then if I came in there to sell them a revenue stream or promise them a revenue stream, I'm CW. I'm like, well, I can deliver 30. Like 30? Well, that's like lunch. That doesn't pay for gas in the jets.
Well, that's why right now it's a very vague deal. It's they didn't say it was exclusive yet.
They got 14 tournaments. Let's do some math. LIV has 14 tournaments.
Yeah.
If CW sold $25 million of ad revenue per tournament, that kind of covers the prize money pretty perfectly, right? Now, LIV doesn't get 100% of that.
No.
So it's a 50-50. Is it 60-40? I would venture to say that LIV gets the majority of the money because the CW isn't doing anything to put this up. It's free, virtually free for them to stream it. It's just not that interesting revenue-wise. So it's not about the revenue. I don't think it's about revenue at all. It's a small audience they're going after of older viewers who are not in the sweet spot for advertisers in the first place. So it's not like a broad palette of advertisers are even available for these kinds of sporting events. It's Mercedes, it's Rolex, it's a financial advisors, it's insurance, it's medical stuff, it's drugs, it's pharmaceuticals. It's not all those other advertisers who are after 20, 30, 40-year-olds who are doing household formation. All right, so why are they doing it then? Let's get back to that.
I don't know. They
either
think of it as a win-win where CW is going to gain significant notoriety.
I think it's great for CW,
and LIV gets their network, which I said is the next step. Let's pivot for a second though. Why do you think Fox didn't take it?
It doesn't do anything for Fox.
Okay, so it's really that simple. Fox could not find a common ground.
Fox has a full line. Fox Sports has a full lineup of sports.
Okay.
I
agree.
I don't watch a lot of that stuff, so I'm not like an expert on it off the top of my head. But they have football, they have baseball, I assume they have every major U.S. sport. I don't know what they do globally. I don't know if they care globally.
But what I will say is, my point to that is, Fox was not going to allow the LIV Golf to just come in and run it. I think that was a major sticking point.
No. Fox was charging LIV to put it there.
Right.
That was reversed. You give us $100 million and we'll show your product.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that. Said LIV, rightly so.
And
because Fox didn't need it.
Right. Fox doesn't need it.
Fox is if you give us $100 million, yeah, sure.
So this still gives. My point is, it still gives. The CW deal was good for LIV because it kept their autonomy. They're running the whole show. Basically, CW is simply providing a platform, getting the notoriety.
Yeah, okay. Well, I will disagree with you on that because we're fair-minded people and it's okay to disagree. I think that giving up the production of the actual tournaments, meaning controlling the cameras, the video, everything, all the entire production, LIV was never thinking about not doing that. As the PGA Tour is now doing it as well. You want to control, you're the Big Ten network, you want to control everything that's going on, and then you sell the feed to other people.
And that's why the players on LIV are so happy because they're getting a piece of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. LIV has its own network. That's why, a month ago, 2 months ago, 5 months ago, from the very beginning, B Team has said, I don't care about broadcast television in the United States. I really don't. And if I were at LIV headquarters, I'd say the same thing. And then the smart guys like this David Hill, who's running media for them from Fox Sports, I'm sure Dave is a smart guy, would say, well, screw you, B-Team. You don't know what you're talking about because here's what we're doing with it. Yeah, it's not about revenue. You're right about that. Snaps for that. It's about hurting the PGA Tour in some way because we want to weaken them in order to get more players or whatever we want. We don't want to destroy them. We don't care that much. That's a whole nother topic. Does LIV really care about the PGA Tour? I don't think so. Why would I? If I'm the American League, do I care about the National League? Yeah, because I want a competitor. So if anything, I would think LIV wants the PGA Tour to survive in some form because it's interesting. It's very interesting. But do they care? No, I don't. And Greg has said that multiple times now. He's like, we're moving on. It's not. Yeah. We're doing our thing. And to put a dot on this, and there's details I can go into that are interesting to me, but it's not about revenue. This particular deal is not about revenue to LIV. I fully understand the CW angle. Yeah. It makes total sense for them. This is their first sport. And it's a great time to say the following, which is interesting to me, maybe to you too. LIV Golf is a teeny tiny dot in the world of sports, in the world of distraction, things you could think about, things you could spend time on as a consumer of content globally. LIV Golf is this big.
Yeah.
Okay? And yet, if you took a survey globally, hey, have you heard of LIV Golf? Hey, have you heard of it? Ranks pretty well. And no, it's not McDonald's. No, it's not, World Cup soccer. No, it's not Formula One. But it ranks much higher than it should. Why is that?
Has there been, first of all, has there been anything else like it in sports literally since the AFL came around in the mid-'60s, was it?
I think golf has a unique position in the world. It's a small sport, but it's a uniquely positioned sport for lots of reasons. That would be a good show to actually go through what we think what makes it that way. If you agree with me, that would be an interesting show. No time to do it here. But it's so for CW, it's like, hey, we got this thing that everybody's talking about globally. Now it's on our network. And, lots of people, probably millions globally, millions of people around the world yesterday, woke up and said, what the hell is CW Network? And that's like a dream scenario if you're Nexstar Broadcasting, who owns the CW, 75% of it.
Oh, the recognition.
That guy, what's his name? Sook or something? The owner, principal shareholder, CEO of Nexstar.
Oh, gosh, he's
Barry Sook, whatever. It's a shrewd guy. Apparently, don't know him, don't know anything about him. I think it's Sook, S-O-O-K.
No, that was somebody else.
Whatever. We'll look it up. The principal shareholder, founder of Nexstar Broadcasting, that owns 75% of the CW network. The other 25% being owned by legacy media that have interest in the PGA Tour, which is
interesting.
You look up ironic in the dictionary.
Yeah.
There it is.
No, sadly, I know everything about the principal shareholder except
his
name
matter.
now.
It doesn't matter. But for that guy, this is phenomenal. So they do have an energized partner. That's cool. My partner loves us, meaning CW loves LIV. Does LIV love CW? I don't think really at LIV headquarters they really care.
I think it's purely, like I said, it's a platform that they need for the next step in their competition.
It hurts the PGA Tour and it helps their players' exposure.
And I think it's going to bring a lot of things to light. When you take a LIV event on CW and you take a minor, or just really all the PGA events are minor now except for their upscale one.
Well, it's a two leagues. The PGA has two leagues now.
Yeah,
the Super Tour and the Minor League Tour.
Right. But if you compare them head to head, it's going to be very interesting what shakes out if this lawsuit also comes to fruition. You have one sports league that is like all the others, LIV, and you have this PGA Tour that is a non-profit organization.
It doesn't matter what their corporate entity is. That's irrelevant. It's relevant to the IRS in America that collects taxes. Who cares? Nobody else cares.
Okay.
It's set up that way. There is a reason, because if you have owners of the PGA Tour and they're the players, what happens when the players retire?
They get a pension.
Well, do they lose their ownership? Does it transfer to the younger players? So how you structure a company is different, because the shares if you own a company, you could pass it down to your kids and the kids' kids and the grandkids. It's great. And a lot of companies work that way. But a sports league, you don't want the players to own it and then retire. So I think I understand why the PGA Tour set it up that way. I think that's not the only reason, but it doesn't matter.
My point
really
is
doesn't matter.
The NFL was like that. Major League Baseball, they all were initially, and they all have transitioned to a normal corporate structure.
Non-profit just means you pay out all your revenue. You can't have retained earnings. Who cares? They're paying it out to the players and all the other people with their hand in the cookie jar, and they can't have retained earnings. Fine,
I get it. Okay.
And if there's CPAs out there, you could shed some more light on that. But.
All right. Didn't want to get off topic.
All right. But we did.
We did. Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
What other points do you want to make about the CW deal?
I don't have anything else on the CW deal per se.
It's a CW deal show?
It is a CW deal show. Just my only point about the CW is I did think, and I think you were going to disagree with me here, the CW was a network for a younger audience. All of their shows had a lot of teenage/college shows, and I've never seen a show on the CW, to be perfectly honest with you. So this is a major departure for the CW.
It is.
And so, for example, if we asked the vast majority of, like I said, people our age and above, have you ever watched a show on the CW? Could you even find the CW on your cable? I'd say most of them would say no.
No, I've heard of it, and I have little kids. Remember, so they don't have. I don't know what I think. We don't know. It doesn't matter. The CW is got their own strategy in mind. It's a fast-moving company. This Nexstar Broadcasting, that gentleman seems very shrewd. And this fits into what they're trying to accomplish there. Who knows? This isn't a show about the CW particularly, but it is an interesting business case study because here they are doing LIV Golf, which is, that's interesting. So cool. I think it's great for CW, and I don't know what it does for LIV, and that's my point.
I think it still positions them also. The war is going to be for the college, as I mentioned earlier, the college kid. You're going to have to sign. If you notice, the PGA Tour sort of has their own backhanded way now of signing people where they're giving them expenses, travel expenses, etc., as opposed to LIV Golf, which is saying, here's your contract. You have to play in all 14 events. You're supposed to play in all 14 events. You're going to get this money up front. You get prize money. And the PGA Tour is sort of going around that backwards, saying, we're going to pay you to show up. We're going to pay you for certain things. If you're going to have a bonus structure. Mm-hmm. So I think if nothing else, nobody has benefited more than the PGA Tour players.
From LIV?
From LIV's.
Oh, the top 50 players in the world have all benefited equally, really, by the Saudi investment.
Right.
I think that's a fair statement.
The last interesting thing is you always bring this up, gambling.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to say is it's pretty simple. There's not a lot of cost on a relative basis to create.
They're out working on the golf course. I hear the blowers and mowers.
To create a gambling website. So maybe the future is your own exclusive gambling website. I mean, everybody and their brothers. Yeah. Who knows?
Yes. I'll say it again, and we'll say it many times. Thank you for bringing that up.
That I'm in agreement with you. Typically, I'm not in agreement on the gambling angle. But in this case, if I have my own gambling website and I tie in the streaming, the gambling website, I have my own broadcast team that's always the same, and I have the same players every week, now you got something.
Well, it's like boxing. I mean, the reason boxing exists is to bet on it.
Yeah.
It's a global sport. We've never compared it to boxing. That was a pretty good grab. I must have had my steak and eggs this morning. Boxing is a exhibition event that can get really interesting depending on who the competitors are, and its purpose is to have bets, period. It does get some revenue from global pay-per-view nowadays. It used to be on a broadcast, but it's been a great sport for how many 100 years? It's been a big deal for a long time. LIV's model, if I were chief revenue officer or assistant too, are we going to make billions? Well, let me ask you, you're a smart guy. If you wanted to invest money in LIV, let's say LIV went public and you had a crack at the IPO. And so they had to present to you the only thing that mattered, which is, how are you going to make money? I'm going to invest. I want to make money. What's your revenue model? And LIV said, well, we're going to sell advertising.
I've made worse investments, but I don't know. when.
Advertising? What? A golf? Yeah. Advertising? Explain to me how that is interesting at all. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. So, okay, take advertising out of the equation. How are you going to make money, LIV? Global gambling sounds pretty cool. Yeah. It is pretty cool. They're going to have PGA Tour's building a DraftKings managed sports book at the Phoenix site of the Waste Management as we speak. So It's not like I'm inventing something here. This is betting in the UK has been going on in Europe for forever on sports.
Well, back to your boxing.
That's a great analogy.
It was a great analogy.
I think. I'm not tooting my horn. I think that's something we should talk more about.
It's a great analogy also because as we're shifting now from broadcast to streaming, what most of our audience is not going to realize, especially in the United States, pre-World War II, boxing and horse racing were it. That's all anybody cared about sports-wise.
And what were those sports? What did they exist to do?
You gambled.
Collected wagers.
Collected wagers,
That's all you
pari-mutuel betting, etc. Point is, to come full circle, as I said, now you're getting to a streaming model, you're getting to an internet model. The winds of change are upon us, and I think it's going to be every kid has an app on their phone that goes, boop, hey, I'm going to sit down and watch this.
What noise does it make?
Boop.
Boop. Is that what?
I'm going to sit down
Do your apps really say that?
Mine do. Maybe
I bet they do, actually. No, what you probably do, you probably have a scrub nurse that says, boop, for you. Like, all right. And then Holly goes, boop. And, yeah.
No.
Yes. Come on.
All right.
Submarine commanders and surgeons. Those are special groups of people.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up. I want to go out on this point. Is going to run streaming around the world.
Yeah, I've been looking online. There are supposedly apps downloadable, etc. We'll see if they work. We'll see how their technology goes. As I'm signing off here, the most interesting thing to me is there really wasn't much interesting in this. You had to let your imagination run wild.
Yeah, it's not about revenue, so that's it's not earth-shattering really at all.
Yeah.
All right, well for now I'm out. B-Team is out.
B-Team's out. Dr. Darkstar's out.
That's all for this video. For Dr. Darkstar, me, thanks for watching. This is a show about finding logical conclusions, and we appreciate you coming along with us. We'll be adding episodes as fast as we can. There's certainly no shortage of things going on in this world.